all the candy. I did not spill my tea. Go me.
Please stand by.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to my channel where I am Amy and we're still trying to figure out what the heck this channel's all about. If you happen to know, let me know. It would help me out a lot. So the world is in a very tense state as of right now. Today, when I film this, is November 5th, so the world is still undecided. And to relieve that stress and to celebrate the fact that today, as I am filming this, it is my birthday, I thought I would make myself a cake. Now, I had this idea before, and honestly, I was a little struck by a want to try something. I'm not a baker. Let's start that. I'm not a baker. I'm not a cook. I'm not anything that would be considered a master of any culinary art, nor should I be attempting anything that seems out of the ordinary and not what the directions say on the box. Point 1. Point 2 being, I should never let myself give in to the whims of my mind in the middle of the night. You might realize by watching videos on my channel that I love Halloween, and I don't like letting the idea that, you know, the fact that Halloween is over mean that Halloween is over. No, I'm not doing any crazy costume. It's not a well thought out, well planned idea. It was really a small concept that I was like, hey, this sounds fun. I like making my own birthday cake. This is the second year I've done it, and why not try things? So today we're gonna keep it casual and make my birthday cake using leftover Halloween candy that I found, mostly. So the idea was, Halloween candy goes on sale the day after Halloween, usually. So why not see what Halloween candy I can find? Apparently, the stress of the world right now means that everyone had the same idea. No, maybe not putting it in a birthday cake, but to go find all of the leftover Halloween candy and buy it out. So I was left with the ones that I found, and I had to kind of come up with an idea around those. Let me show you what I found. Candy! For the most part, I had to take what was there and see what would fit with an idea or a theme or a cake that wouldn't just be gross or just like a mound of sugar. I know that's what cakes are, but like, we want some kind of artistry here, even if it's only a little bit. What I found, we got some Hershey Nuggets assortment, and this is milk chocolate with almonds, special dark, mildly sweet chocolate with almonds, and extra creamy milk chocolate with toffee and almonds. Cool. I think this will help us with some frosting. Now for our main flavor, I found 2 packs of Almond Joy and Mounds. Almond Joy and Mounds. These are both coconut-based candies, so we're gonna make a coconut cake. And for our like filling, secondary flavor, something to add a little pizzazz, I found the Caramel Lovers pack of Twix, Snickers, Milky Way, and caramel M&Ms, as well as the not really Halloween, but was shelled with the Halloween stuff when I looked, Dove milk chocolate caramels. I think with these, we can make a coconut caramel chocolate cake. So my thought is the actual cake is going to be coconut, and we'll use some of the mounds to add in some other textures and to maybe like add some bite-sized pieces depending on what the consistency of the mounds is, and add some extra coconut flavors inside the cake. We'll use the nuggets to just melt down and mix in with our icing mixture, and we are making icing from scratch, though the cake I got is going to be a boxed cake. Deal with it. I wasn't gonna make a cake from scratch this year, not when I'm trying to do this on top of that. And then the chocolate caramels, we will try to separate out most of the caramel. We'll try to separate out most of the caramel and take that, mix it in with a vanilla frosting mix to be our inner layer. Sounds not too hard, I hope. I thought we could hang out while I make my cake, talk a little bit about, I don't know, what I've learned over my years of life, where we're at, what's going on, and see what happens when you try to use Halloween candy to, you know, make a better birthday cake. It seemed like a good thing to do in a title, so why not make a whole video, right? So the first thing we need to do is get these bags open and decide how much we need to do. Give me 1 sec. We're gonna open some bags. Now that we have an idea of exactly how much candy we have, which is honestly a lot of candy, it's time to assign the roles and see what we need to deconstruct and what's just gonna melt. Now, as a kid, I ate so much candy, and now as an adult, I look at this and I just see the ultimate stomach ache that this would cause. I don't eat a lot of candy anymore as a kid, as a little youngin' like I am now on my birthday. I don't eat a lot of candy anymore as an adult, though I do indulge every once in a while. I am such an old lady that I eat the Dove chocolates usually, and I'll give myself like one at night after my last cup of tea. Wow, I am so exciting. This is what the kind of like excitement you subscribe for, right? The average girl baking a birthday cake, talking about how she doesn't eat candy anymore because it's too sweet. While she sips her black tea. Are we okay? I don't know if we're okay. Doesn't matter, we're making cake. That makes everything okay. So what are we gonna use? What are we gonna dissect? And what is it going to do for our cake? So let's start with what's pretty much gonna be the easiest thing, which is our frosting. Now for our frosting, we want a chocolate buttercream-esque frosting. I found a recipe that we're gonna use, and it's pretty much just, you know, butter, powdered sugar, some cream, buttercream, genius. I think for that we're going to use our Hershey nuggets, and with those we're going to use really 2 out of the 4 flavors. We're going to use the special dark with almonds, and we're going to use the extra creamy milk chocolate with toffee and almonds. So I'm hoping that if we melt these together, usually the almond pieces are really chopped up. We should actually test that. Make sure that it's chopped up before we start melting. Here, I'll get my second camera so you can get a really cool view of what's happening. We need a knife. A sharp knife. Okay, I wonder where the toffee comes in on this because I don't really see it. I guess it's maybe mixed into the chocolate. Yeah, I don't really see like toffee, but I do see a bunch of nuts. Give me 1 sec while I clean this up a little. And we'll open our dark chocolate. Ugh. Ooh, this one has a whole almond in it. That might not work. That's interesting. So we're gonna try the milk chocolate with almonds just to see if this is also 2 pieces of whole almond. Yep, this one is also full of almonds. So while that's cool to know, it does mean that we have to reevaluate our plan. We're going to end up mixing the almond ones, though that's cool because that's my favorite kind of candy to eat in life rather than just this, and end up going with our toffee and plain milk chocolate. We'll melt those down, mix it into our buttercream mixture, and see how it goes. So the next thing that we need to figure out is what is going into our filling. So the filling is going to hopefully be a vanilla buttercream, and with that I thought we could mix in some caramel and to mix in maybe a little bit of chocolate depending on how much we can separate out from the actual pieces of candy themselves. So for that, I think we're going to look at our Snickers, our Twix, and our Milky Way caramel. Am I gonna bother you by saying caramel instead of caramel? It comes out of my mouth naturally as caramel, and I don't know why, because I do say caramel also. I don't know. My memory of eating these, especially Twix, is that sometimes they do like separate pretty easy, and if that's possible, then I think that we'll have a better time just separating out some caramel. And if I can separate out the cookie of some of these a little bit, we might keep that, crush it up, and like sprinkle it on top for a little decoration. Who knows? The possibilities are endless, or at least there are a lot of them. Let's dissect some more candy. Our middle pieces. So we have our Snickers, our Milky Way, and our Twix. And we're going to unwrap these so you don't have to hear the really awful crinkly noises. Doesn't matter whether I use a right or a left side Twix. Who knows? I don't. And there we have our unwrapped pieces of candy. So we're going to cut them up and see how easy they are to take apart. Twix, we know, is cookie, caramel, chocolate. I'm wondering how easy it is to separate out the caramel and stuff from the rest of the candy. Not bad. We can separate out pretty well this part. It will taste a little bit of chocolate, but it's not nearly as bad as the orange. We can take the caramel, cut out some of this, cut off some of the chocolate so that we can keep the caramel as separate as possible, shave some of this chocolate off the actual Twix, and keep the cookie so we can crush it up later. And that way, even if some of the chocolate seeps in, we'll still get some separate flavors and get to really experiment and use all parts of the candy. Test subject 1, pretty good. Next, we have our Milky Way. And honestly, I don't know what these look like inside. We're gonna cut off the end. Ooh, that is just one big heckin' piece of caramel. So, how easy do you shave down the sides? Aw, heck yeah, man! So if anything, we can use some of this chocolate caramel pieces that are left over and see if we can work that into maybe our frosting, or maybe like melt it down and do a ribbon through the cake, maybe? That could be cool. But we can definitely use the entirety of it and just get a heck of a lot of caramel out of it. Honestly, after how long it took me to cut apart all of those candy corn in my candy corn candle video, I thought this was going to take me forever. And I don't think it's going to be as bad as I thought. Our last piece of candy is the Snickers. Honestly, can I remember what's in a Snickers? Ooh, so we have nuts, caramel, and nougat. We might actually end up saving our Snickers. I think we can do what we need to do with just the Milky Way and the Twix and save Snickers for later. Shh. Now the one that I did consider putting in the middle since I got it is the caramel from our Dove chocolate, which I can show you. My worry about that is that it's super runny. So if you look at this caramel, it's much softer than the rest of it, but these will also be enjoyed at a later date, I think. And then came our actual cake. So for our actual cake, we're using a coconut cake, and I thought that it would be fun to make it a little bit more coconutty by mixing in some other pieces. Potentially, we could just put in some caramel M&Ms and just be done with it, and it will have that, but I would like to try to keep it as light and fluffy since there's gonna be so much chocolate and other stuff going around other places. So I wanna see what the insides of the Almond Joys and the Mounds actually look like. If we can get what we want out of them, then we'll just mix them in with our cake. But until then, we're going to go dissect our last two pieces of candy. To the candy cam. It's right there. It's my phone. Do you see it? I would make an excellent future host. So our main cake pieces are Almond Joy Mounds. Let's cut into them and see what they actually look like inside. Gee, I wonder why they call them an Almond Joy. I don't think I realized that they were two different types of chocolate, which is interesting. But if we cut into, ooh, it's so soft. Yes, okay. We are cooking with Mounds, man. I can scoop out a bunch of this center, and we can definitely use this to just kind of put into our cake mixture to just add a little bit more texture and add just some like coconutty yumminess. Potentially we could also add this to our filling, maybe even just mix some of this with the caramel and see how that goes. Now we have our Almond Joy, which is pretty much the same exact thing with a different coating of chocolate and with an almond. I told myself to stop eating these and then I'm not. So by the time this cake is finished, I'm not gonna wanna eat this cake. What is wrong with me? But yeah, we definitely have enough of the coconut filling to just mix into our cake a little bit and see where it takes us. I did it again. Oh my God, okay. I'm gonna go separate out all of our stuff and then we will be back to see what I got out of it, and then we will actually make our cake. This is a very simple video today. The only thing that's gonna be horrible is my stomach after I eat all of my ingredients. So we have all of our pieces cut out. We have a bowl of the toffee Hershey milk chocolate, and this is going to be melted down and mixed in with our buttercream frosting. We have our caramel, which I think we're actually going to melt this down, mix it with our coconut pieces, and mix that with a vanilla buttercream. And then we have our dark chocolate Mounds outsides, which have a little bit of coconut left in them, which I actually think we'll melt down and mix and try to marble into our cake. And then we have the leftover chocolate that mixed with caramel. And this, I think we're actually going to melt down and try to drizzle over like the cake in like a pattern to give it like a design, I guess. And then we have our pieces of cookie, which I think I will try to crush and just sprinkle over the top as a design along with our caramel. Let's see how that goes. Let's go to a montage of making the batter, which is going to actually be a coconut batter made with no eggs, made with applesauce, because eggs are gross and I didn't want to use them. I'm allowed. It's my birthday. You can't get mad at me for using applesauce instead. So let's montage into making that, mixing it, and then we'll come back when it's time to decorate, I guess. Well, hi there. You may notice things look a little bit different than the last time. Things happened. There was a little situation, things that fall under the category that I mentioned before of Amy is not a baker or a cook or anything to do with the culinary arts. As some of you who are more proficient at baking may have noticed, I overfilled the cake tins by a significant amount. So we had a situation that was a little, it's fine. This is fine. But we're here. We're here. Nothing's on fire. We're here. So these cakes, I had to chill them for a while, and so it's a little bit later. So when these cakes came out, 1, they wanted to stick to the pan, so I had to make sure they could smush together. 2, they were very smushy. And I'm not sure if that was the coconut cake, if it was the additive of chocolate, if it was because I used applesauce instead of eggs. One of the cakes turned out okay, but then it stuck to the pan. The other 2 ended up being very smushy, but I was able to kind of reconstruct the cakes to fit. So I don't think it was a failure of the candy. I think it was a failure of the me. Apparently, chemistry and baking chemistry is not my thing. I'm very good at visual puzzles, not chemical structure. I will leave that to Sola. She seems to be the genius about it. That being said, we are going to take our chocolate Hershey flavored buttercream, which did turn out pretty well, and we're going to take our filling of Mounds, caramel, and some excess buttercream, and we're going to see if we can finagle these pieces of cake together. I have some cookie crumbs to cover it. We have our last little batch of chocolate caramel stuff to make and try to drizzle over the top to make it look artsy. This is not going to be a tall cake, nor is it going to be like the best cake, but it might be a nice coconut mush cake, which again is not a failure of the candy, it's a failure of the baker. So as of right now, I'm still pretty leaning towards, yes, you can use candy bars to deconstruct and make a better cake. You just have to be a better baker than me. Let's decorate. Hopefully the color means that we've kept a pretty good flavor profile. I think, that sits good. This might be a rustic cake. We might cut the edges. Who knows? Pay no attention to the dishes behind me. I made a mess. Now comes the fun part. Oh no, I didn't do that. And then I forgot to record putting that on there. Of course I did. Here we go. Our mixture looks good. It looks all runny from putting it in the microwave. I think that worked pretty well. Sorry. Did not press record on this camera. It's the entirety of the mixture that we made, and I'm hoping that this means we can do like a rustic looking kind of cake. Just had to melt it down, let it sit for a sec. But I mean, here's the thing. It might be rustic, but it looks pretty. We're going to put our second cake on here and hope that this time this camera's recording. Hey, look at that. It worked. So we're gonna start with just doing the top, I think, and then see if it needs stuff on the sides. I'm not quite sure how this one ended up wider than the one below it. But let's see what we can do about that. Here is our cake so far. Okay, we are not going to be winning any awards for like the prettiness of this cake, but at least it looks kind of like a cake. So what I think I'm going to do to hide some imperfections is put some cookie crumbs all around the outside, and then we'll drizzle over the top. I think that's going to work. So let's cookie crumb this sucker up. And in case you forgot, this is all the Twix cookie and the chocolate that was on the Twix cookie. My friends, we are actually looking like a cake. We just need to drizzle the chocolate on top, and we're pretty much just done. I think this might actually not be a total fail. It's too soon to call it. It's too soon. Into the microwave, this goes. Okay, added some butter. Let's do this super quick. All right, this is our cake. On the outside, we have a Twix cookie crumble using the inside cookies of Twix bars. Our icing is a buttercream icing flavored with Hershey's miniatures of milk chocolate with toffee and almonds and just plain milk chocolate. For our drizzle, it is the outsides of Twix and Milky Way caramels, and they are melted together, mixed together, and drizzled on top. Inside we have our coconut cake, which is mixed with the outer coating of a Mounds, meaning that it is dark chocolate with a little bit of coconut flakes still left in it. And then we have our filling, which is the coconut filling of Mounds bars mixed with the caramel from some Twix and some Milky Way caramels. That was mixed together with some plain buttercream icing to give a little bit more of a binding for it and slapped together in between our cakes. And this is our final leftover Halloween candy cake. I think it looks a lot prettier than I was expecting when I looked at the cakes. You can see, I think the crumb coating and everything really helped with it. It helped fill in the cracks for the cake. It helped just make everything a little bit prettier. And I think the little drizzle on top, which is a fairly hard, chewy candy, is pretty nice. So visually, as a whole cake, I think it came out like an 8, 7.5 maybe out of 10. The actual execution of the inside and the flavor will be a question that we solve next. I guess we have to cut into it, which makes me really nervous. So it came out in one piece. I think that the candy on top hardened a little too much. It cuts into the cake a little bit. So I think maybe if that was a little bit lighter on top, it would work a little bit better, but I still like the look of it. So not mad I did it, but there's our slice. All right, magical friends, this is our end game. This is what we've been waiting for, we've been working for, and the time that we can fully answer, should you make a cake or can you make a cake with leftover Halloween candy? Let's taste. So this is a good cross-section of pretty much everything. Let's even go to the back. Gonna get a little bit of that cookie and take a big old bite. Okay, she is very, very, very thick and rich, but she is very, very yummy. Let's see how these candy pieces turned out that are on top. They're chewy. They are chewy. So the candy drizzle on top, maybe not the best choice. Maybe not the best choice. I think that's the biggest failure, but luckily enough, it kind of just peels away. 10 out of 10, you can make icing by just melting candy bars and mixing it in. To be fair, that's how you make chocolate icing anyway, but we did it with Halloween candy. So let's count that as a specialty win. The filling, specifically, was good. The good thing about it is Mounds are soft, so it kept a soft texture throughout the whole thing. I was worried about the caramel in it, but I don't think the caramel hurt the softness of the inside. So yes, I would give the inner filling like a 7, 7.5. Maybe even an 8. Found a big chunk of the chocolate that we mixed into the cake, and let's see how that held up through a lot. So it's not like 100% soft and melted. It's a little fudgy, but it has that coconut in it, and it mixed enough with the cake that it doesn't seem to have overly hardened like the chocolate that's on top. Which again, 0 out of 10, don't do the chocolate drizzle on top with candy. Again, wasn't the best cake I've ever made. I don't know if it was the applesauce and not counting for that extra moisture in an already really moist kind of cake. I don't know if it was adding in chocolate to that. I don't really know what happened to that cake. 10 out of 10. Twix bars as the cookie crumbs on your cake. So good. So good. Highly, highly, highly recommend using Twix bar cookies somehow in your cake. So, overall, I would give this attempt a 7-ish out of 10, like 6.5 to 7, given that the cake was a little bit of a disaster for the majority of the project. I don't like the chocolate drizzle on top. Everything else worked pretty well in the cake, even if the cake itself was a little messy. It was a 10 out of 10 learning experience, but probably like a 6.5 to 7 attempt. But the question of, can you make a cake out of leftover Halloween candy? Or should you make a cake out of leftover Halloween candy? Is yes. You can definitely deconstruct candy to do some really cool stuff in your baking. And if you were a little bit more careful than I was, you would probably end up with a slightly better result. I should have probably gone with my initial idea, which was funfetti cake, because it's built to like have stuff thrown into it. But with all the coconut candy I found, I thought coconut cake would be a good idea. You live, you learn, you take the wins as they come. What I've learned in my many years of life is that most mistakes, most failures are never as bad as you think that they are. And you learn to live with it. You learn from it, and you learn to not let it hurt you so bad. And we can be talking about cake. We can be talking about a lot of things when we talk about failure. But I think that this next year of life is going to be a big win. I hope that you stay along with me for that journey, because I'm hoping, trying, doing my best to continue to upload through that entire time and beyond. And I want you to be there with me. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any advice, if you have any wants over this next year of life, year of creative living, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, feel free to subscribe and become part of this magical little weird family that we're becoming right here on this channel, while we still try to figure out what this channel is. I hope that you had fun, and I hope seeing me, you know, just try things and not worry about whether or not it's going to be a fail or a win, and just having fun with it makes you want to try things too. And as always, I have been Amy, you have been wonderful, and I will see you in my next video. Stay magic. Bye! Oh no! Candy overboard!